Practice eliminates panic. 5-step drawing procedure. The most important thing to do is to keep your eyes on the threat. Let me clarify this statement. Obviously, if you can't see the threat, you can't keep your eyes on the threat. But once the threat is identified, keep your eyes on the threat. I say this because when you do identify the threat and you are a licensed to carry holder, whether your gun is concealed or not, you need to be able to function and manipulate your handgun, magazines, clothing, etc. without looking at it. Without looking at what you're doing, you have to do those functions. Now, you have to do this without looking because your eyes are focused on the threat. I see many people when they draw their weapon from the holster, they look down at what they're doing, especially when they put the gun back into the holster. Now, I will admit sometimes some holsters are kind of tricky putting it back in, but when the gun's going back in, usually the threat is over, so you have a little bit more time to do that. But when pulling the weapon out, no, we don't look at the holster. Now, I'm primarily talking about hip bolsters, shoulder holsters, and maybe even purses. You must practice, practice, practice to become proficient at this skill. Now, from start to finish, from the decision to draw your weapon to the time it gets on target, there are steps that have to be done correctly for maximum efficiency. Now, what I'm going to read to you now is my acronym for drawing a weapon for concealment or in the open. So get your pens and paper ready. You won't remember this unless you write it down. You're going to walk it through, look in the mirror, and practice this, okay? Now, do what I tell you in slow motion first, and then you get faster as you go, but make sure every step is done correctly, then just faster and smoother. And remember, slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. So now let me go and read to you my 5-step drawing procedure, and I'm going to be showing this in the video. After I read it, I'm going to demonstrate it. So, Paul, let me get the cameras right, okay? Let's keep it there for a minute. The 5-step drawing procedure. Remember the key word, agree, the acronym AGREE. Each letter stands for something, agree. I'm going to read to you, then we're going to go through it again. When you're drawing a weapon from the holster, you need to make sure that the clothes are not in the way. So we're going to move the clothes away. Away, the letter A, the first letter in the acronym AGREE. The second one is G. Get a firm grip. Grip is the key word. G. Get a firm grip. The letter R is next. Retrieve. Retrieve the gun from the holster. That's the letter R. The next letter is E. Enable and present the gun. Enable and present the gun. And then the second E is verify, then engage the target if necessary. So let's do that again. The acronym AGREE stands for move the clothes away. Now, if you're carrying it in the open, there's still a possibility for your shirt or whatever to possibly be grabbed in the excitement while you're trying to get the weapon out of your holster. So you want to make sure that the clothing is clear from the gun. So you want to move the clothes away from the weapon. Once the weapon is clear, you want to get a firm grip on the gun. And I'm not just talking holding on to the gun. I'm saying a firm but proper grip, and I'll show that in the video in just a second. Retrieve the gun from the holster. It's going to come out of the holster. Enable and present the gun. What I mean by enable is if it's got a safety feature on it or whatever you have to do to get the gun ready to fire. Some of you people don't carry around in the chamber, so you have to enable the gun by putting it around in the chamber and then present it to the threat. And once you verify, then you can engage, shoot if you have to. Okay? So be familiar with more than one firearm as well, if possible, and for different dress situations. We just had a competition last night, excellent competition. Had some new people in there, and they did very well. But what it does is it enables you to shoot different guns under stress and time with accuracy. So it puts you under stress. You get to see what you can handle, see where your weak spots are, and you can practice. But now, back to the video. I'm going to move the mic if you hear some noise. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've got my weapon here. What's the first thing we do when we get our weapon? We're going to check to make sure it's not loaded, right? So I got my trustful 1911 here. Love this gun. It's my go-to gun. It just works fantastic. There is no magazine in the gun, but I will check the chamber. chamber is clear, magazine well is clear, this gun is clear. I'm going to now put it back in my holster. But for purposes of this demonstration, my 1911 for this illustration will be locked and cocked with the safety on to illustrate some parts of the acronym AGREE. All right, in the video, I've got the weapon in my holster, and the first letter of the acronym is A. Move the clothing away. If I've got a jacket on, I'm going to sweep the jacket to the side, get it away from my clothing. If I've got a t-shirt on and it's covering it, we'll say, I'm going to use the other hand and lift up my shirt to clear the weapon. I'm clearing the clothing away from the weapon so I can get a proper grip on the gun. I'm getting a firm grip on the gun. That's the second letter, G. Not only am I getting a firm grip on the gun, but I'm getting a proper grip. And I'll show that grip to you when I retrieve the weapon. Which brings us to the next letter, R. Retrieve the gun from the holster. I now have a firm, proper grip. I'm retrieving it, and let me show you in the video what I mean by a proper grip. If you'll notice, as you're looking in the video, the gun is pointed directly at you. An improper grip would be a crooked gun. I'm pointing the gun at you, but it's canted because it's not in the hand properly. It needs to be in your hand properly with a firm grip, okay? So we clear the clothing, acquire the grip, retrieve the gun from the holster, and we're going to enable it. In this illustration, my 1911 has the hammer cocked with the safety on, so I'm going to enable the weapon. I just took the safety off the gun. It is ready to go, and it's presented to the threat in front of me, in my line of sight. Then, if I determine that the threat has to be stopped, I will shoot if necessary, okay? So that's agree. Clear the clothing away from the weapon. Acquire the grip properly, firmly. You're going to retrieve the weapon from the holster, engage it or enable it. You're going to enable the weapon so that it's ready to fire, or rack the slide, take the safety off, or whatever you have to do, and then you're going to have it in your line of sight at your threat and engage the target if you have to. So the key and acronym is agree, away, grip, retrieve, enable, and engage. Check it out on K10's YouTube channel, probably come Monday. Go to my website, aaronsgunshop.com. We'll probably have it linked up there too. And you can see and watch this video again, write down some notes, and practice in the mirror, ladies and gentlemen. Just do it slow. Go as slow as you have to go until you get it perfected, and then go faster and faster and faster and faster, okay? So that's it for our pep section.